My name is Yiwei, and I'm from Malaysia, Penang. I'm the founder of Kurechii, and currently I'm also the game director and producer in the studio. So I started making games since like 2009, as also when Kurechii is founded.
What was the first game you played, and how did you get into games? Like, how did your interest in gaming start?
Like, I think pretty much the first game was actually like maybe Mario and Ninja Turtle. So where basically like I don't really own those consoles. In fact, the first console that I owned was actually PlayStation 4.
What was the game that made you decide that this is what you wanted to like turn into your career?
There's this game called I actually do not know the English name. It's called Huan Si Lu in Chinese. So back then, like my neighbor actually borrowed to me, and then it's a Chinese RPG that I play. To be honest, like it doesn't. When I actually decided to work on game, it's not really because like I suddenly play one game and then suddenly I feel like want to make them. It's more towards like I think it's more towards like inspired by my lecturers, Wan Hasmith. So he's the one that like telling like showing that how he can make game with Flash and all that. So I was using Flash to make website at the same time, like because like see what he can do. I also trying to do the same thing.
So what was it that led you to start your own company, Kurechii Games?
I think that was like 2011, and then I trying to look around, but it isn't a lot of game company back then. The most that I can find is just one or two. And also back then, those game company are usually outsourcing company or the game company that actually create assets. So that's also where I start to think like if there isn't any company that I can join. So what about like me creating one, so that next time when someone trying to find a company to join, then they can at least there's a place that they can go. So the belief that I have back then, which I still believe in until now, is actually is always try to think big, start small, and then one step at a time. So basically, when we want to work together as a team, right, we don't have a location, a proper location. So what we do is actually like we'll go to a cafe, a restaurant, or like cafe usually. We'll go there to have our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So like people will usually stare at us like, why this guy always here? Like that's pretty much like our workplace. And when we feel embarrassed of this shop, then the next week we change the shops. So that's pretty much like.
Were there objections from your family or parents when you decide to...
Yes. So like a long story short is actually even back then when I want to study multimedia design, right? Or like they will have this very traditional mindset that only people who cannot study go to draw. But actually that's not the case, right? They also have this mindset that people who create games are people who create content that make people addictive, like makes those children give up on study, keep playing games and all that. So this is not kind of like a, how to say, a very good positive kind of impressions after that. So I get a lot of all this. It took quite a long time to convince or like to get them to 100% to be proud of what I'm doing, I would say.
So about Kurechii Games, what's the meaning of the name Kurechii?
Kurechii is actually a play of words between crazy and creative. So like a crazy, creative, Kurechii. So this is how we come to combine.
What was it like developing games back then compared to now?
So making games back then is hard. Making games now is easy. But getting exposure back then is easier, but getting exposure now is super hard. So this is definitely the differences and the things that we need to really think about.
What was the company's first success and breakthrough that made you realize that, oh, you can continue running Kurechii?
The very first success and breakthrough, I would say, I'd say the Kingsick basically, especially the Kingsick Odyssey. Once we actually started working on mobile games, right, people think that we are making games. At least that's what I experienced. They suddenly felt, oh, you are game developers. I've been making games for many years. Why don't you think I'm game developers until I actually make mobile games? Right? Until today, it's actually we had to took it down, but it's only have less than $30, I think.
Oh, wow.
Because back then when we make on Flash games, right, you put it up, like, because it's free, it's very accessible. Someone will just click and then they'll play, and then they'll share and all that. But when we go into mobile games, right, we forgot about the nature is very different. People need to go to App Store and search. If they do not even know your game names, right, they can't even search it. How do they actually come across a game and no one's going to download it? Right? There's it's like ouch, like suddenly realize that, oh, yeah, it's a mobile game and it's something very different.
Does Kurechii Games have an overall plan or direction?
The next milestone I would say is actually we actually want to try something hybrid. Kurechii actually known for our 2D arts, where we started off 2D games, and until today we still make 2D games, right? I start to see a bottleneck where how far 2D can go if we don't have any breakthrough. So basically like then if you're able to draw, the character looks very good and all that, right? Or your games basically the best looking games ever. Then after that, right, someone actually animate it, then with better animation, the game looks very impressive and so on. So, but nowadays even you have very good graphics, 2D graphics, and with some animations and all that, right? It looks okay because there's a lot of good looking games with 2D graphics and so on. Based on our records, right, we are not the company do mobile game all the ways. We actually have mobile games, we have PC games, we have mobile PC cross-platforms, Apple Arcade games actually on Apple TV consoles and all that. So all this, right? So we are pretty much open to all different platforms, but not staying on one. So when we are trying to explore new games, we also want to try our hands on making games that works for mobile, PC, console, and so on. So we might want to reach as many players as possible, and also trying out again the crazy and creative ideas that we have.